they say there's a lot of virtues to rowing. What are they? Well, now, sometimes it's pretty hard for an oarsman who's never been in a swinging boat to find out what the virtues are. But if he's a dedicated oarsman, this is what he gets. First of all, he should have harmony. And harmony is self-made. Harmony, balance, and rhythm. They are the three things that stay with you your whole life. Without them, civilization is out of whack. And that's why an oarsman, when he goes out in life, he can fight it, he can handle life. And that's what he gets from rowing. Harmony, balance, and rhythm. Mark those words.
There aren't many places around that are as old and have been a center for so much life and activity.
This building brings together wood and water. It brings together boat building and rowing and endeavor and fair play and pulling together and community spirit. The building started life off as an seaplane hangar for the Navy. The university then took it over and decided to make it into the shell house for the Associated Students, University of Washington. And then it served in that function for many decades. One of the things I like most about the building is that in addition to serving as the shell house, it also housed George Pocock and his boat building shop. And in the back of the building there's a loft, and up in that loft, George Pocock was producing these beautiful handcrafted cedar shells that were just state-of-the-art.
1936 story is almost a common story for us in some way. Thousands of people have come here through the University of Washington and the Conybeare Shell House especially because it touched them in some way. I think it was one of the best gifts that we received. You know, it told the story of rowing. On the other hand, it's a human story. It was talking about rowing, but I think a lot of us in our families can understand what America was like, the United States was like in that era.
I think the story of the Boys in the Boat resonates with so many people because it reminds us of what we're capable of. It reminds us that we're capable of overcoming great adversity. And most of all, it reminds us that our greatest power is when we pull together.
We are forward-thinking here at the University of Washington, and this place exemplifies that. Women rowed here at the University of Washington before women could vote. This is the first women's program to win the Henley Royal Regatta. This place is a trailblazer for women.
I think the Shell House is a living legacy for all of us that have lived in the city. It's just such a beautiful old building, and there's so much that's happened here and needs to happen again.
So that's where we see the old Shell House. So when you ask about the community, like why would the community embrace it? The community is embracing it because it is a part of the history and legacy of a program that the Seattle community has always supported.
This shell house has the potential to sort of stand as a symbol for the University of Washington and some of the values that these young men had and how those values are perpetuated by the university.
My hope for the future students and current students of the University of Washington would just be that they can come here and reflect and remember their roots. I fully believe that history is power, and knowing how we've gotten to this point today is really a great tool to use moving forward in a learning experience.
I think we could have incredible banquets, gatherings, and we could tell the story of rowing, or maybe use it for tell the story of science or medicine. I'd also like to see it a place of history and memorabilia, and a place to tell the story of our great legacy, but also the legacy of the University of Washington, and maybe Boeing's legacy, and Seattle's legacy. And I think if you tie those three things together, I could see an amazing facility that ties our region, our state, our city, and our university.
So I hope it can be restored and kept alive because it's far too beautiful and has too many memories caught up in its rafters to let go and float away.